Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
You are watching Nevada Newsmakers.
Hello, my name is Ray Hagar. I'm a reporter with the Reno Gazette, and this is an all-new edition of Nevada Newsmakers. Sam Shad is on vacation. I'm filling in for him today. The hottest story in Reno this week is the investigative report on animal death, alleged neglect, and cruelty at the University of Nevada, Reno. Today's guest broke that story. He's Gazette-Journal investigative reporter Frank Mullen. He spent 5 months on this story before it was published. Now, we've also asked officials from the University of Nevada, Reno to join us today, but they have politely declined. But here are some of the facts that Frank has uncovered. 38 pregnant sheep were allowed to die on UNR farms. Cattle were starved. Pigs were allegedly denied water, and animal parts were used to lure coyotes onto UNR land where they were shot. Frank, is this a fair summary of your work?
Yeah, pretty much, Ray. What the allegations consist of in terms of the animal neglect, the 38 pregnant ewes, female sheep, were trapped in a paddock in October of 2002 without food or water. And that definitely occurred. The only question is how. And there was a herd of Black Angus cattle, which was a prize bloodline herd kept at the SRS Ranch that in the summer of 2002 were also allowed to get into very deplorable condition according to people who saw them at the time. And there are other allegations made by a faculty member about pigs that may or may not have been cared for properly. And I think that one of the biggest things in the investigation was the animal parts and carcasses that were strewn around UNR farms over there on McCarran Boulevard between Pembroke Drive and Clearwater Way. Those were out there for about 6 years. They were the waste products from Wolfpack meats, and they were used as lures for predators. And the university didn't admit that until just recently, after denying it for quite some time.
Okay, Frank, how did you uncover this story? Did you get tips? Sometimes we journalists, we stumble onto things, or just how did this investigation begin?
The Reno Gazette-Journal did a story in June. Geraldo Miller did the story, and it had to do with a man from Hidden Valley who was walking his dog over on the UNR Farms property, and he came upon dead sheep in uncovered pits, and he came upon dead sheep in the bushes there out in the open, and he was worried about water quality, and he was worried about disease being spread by these dead animals, and he called in Washoe Health, Washoe District Health, and they sent an inspector over who documented all this stuff on film, but they couldn't do anything about it because of something called the agricultural exemption. And at the time, that means that farms are exempt from local health laws. And at the time, the university said it was a rare occurrence, having uncovered dead animals around, that it was the fault of some unidentified graduate student. It wouldn't happen again. They met with neighbors in Hidden Valley. But after that story appeared in June, a young man named Matt Higgison came forward with photos he had taken last year of dead animals and parts strewn all around the place, and so that's how I got started on it.
Okay, now one of your, well, let's pick this up. Let's take a break, and we'll come right back to this. We'll be back in 1 minute.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
If you think Wells Fargo is only checking accounts, you're not seeing the whole picture. Online brokerage, mutual funds, mortgages, and home equity accounts. So get more than free checking and start reaching your goals today. Now you get the picture. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years.
When you need a new employee, how can you be sure who you're really hiring? A background investigation by Employer Links will uncover criminal records, verify the applicant's education, check their credit history and Social Security verification. An investigation will research professional licenses and driver's licenses and let you know why they're unemployed. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment.
Siegfried and Roy presents Darren Romeo.
There's magic in his voice, and there's music in his magic.
Brilliant young talent like this is very rare.
The music of the night. I'm Darren Romeo.
Unbelievable. Wow. Fantastic.
Dinner and show package from $27.95. Call the Eldorado at 786-5700.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers.
Thank you, and we're here again with Frank Mullen, investigative reporter with the Reno Gazette-Journal, talking about his investigative report on animal abuse at the University of Nevada Farms. Frank, these animal parts on the ground, why are they there, and why weren't they disposed of properly?
When Matt Higgison, who took the photos of the animal parts last year, gave me copies of it, I showed them to the university, and they said that it might have something to do with the trapper because there were dead coyotes and dead animals shown in many of the photos, and the dean over there, David Thawley of the College of Agriculture, said he didn't know anything about it other than that there were possibly a federal trapper involved. And just recently, right before publication, as a matter of fact, when the dean found out that the federal animal control trappers, who are called Wildlife Services, they're a federal agency under USDA, the Department of Agriculture, when he found out they were claiming they didn't know anything about it either, he came forward and said that Wolfpack Meats, which is the meat packing plant over on UNR Farms, was giving for the last 6 years all their dead animal parts to the trappers so they could use them to lure coyotes. The trappers had told me that they only use traps, they don't shoot coyotes in urban areas, but clearly from the photos of the coyotes that Matt took, some of them have round holes in their sides, and I've since come to learn from other folks who have talked to the trappers that they do shoot them. They lure them in with the meat parts and with the dead animal parts and shoot them.
Well, these dead coyotes, if they were trapped, wouldn't they have scars on their ankles and legs?
Yeah, they would have
and those were not found, right?
To their paws, and I showed them to, sent them via email to predator experts, and they apparently have not been trapped. They were shot, and Wildlife Services has declined to return calls or emails. The last word from them is they don't do it, and they don't know anything about animal parts or carcasses.
Okay, now also, weren't these coyotes, weren't they shot close to an elementary school?
Well, close to Hidden Valley, yes.
Hidden Valley
several
Elementary.
hundred yards of Hidden Valley Elementary and the Hidden Valley development.
Okay.
So that's been going on for some time, and I've yet to get another explanation from the federal trappers at Wildlife Services.
Okay, now Frank, some of your report is based on Dr. Hussein, a UNR whistleblower. What is the status? Isn't UNR trying to fire him now?
Yes, they are. They've taken action under something called Chapter 6, which is what you do when you want to fire a tenured professor at in the university system. He came forward initially with allegations 2 years ago about what he called corrupt hiring practices, that the searches weren't going as they should, and people's favorites were getting hired, and he came forward with that. And then last year, in his grievance to the Faculty Senate, he outlined animal abuse and neglect allegations, including the 38 sheep that were trapped in a pen without food or water, including the herd of Angus that were allegedly starved. And all this stuff went to the Faculty Senate, and they went up to President Lilly. And Lilly overturned the judgment of the Faculty Senate, which said that Hussein should be given his raise, and his evaluation should not have been reduced so much by the dean. And so now what they're doing is, because Hussein brought in a private veterinarian to check out some pigs he was concerned about that were in a building that he had been using for 5 years, the university is taking every step it can to fire him.
Okay, now let's stop right here and talk about whistleblowers. We have Dr. Hussein in trouble for blowing the whistle. We have another gentleman who was fired from the Anaconda copper pit for also blowing the whistle on government officials for slowdowns there. And then we have the two whistleblowers in the Kathy Augustine impeachment case that actually seemed to be more on trial than Ms. Augustine was. What does this say about the future of whistleblowers in Nevada government, and should the citizens be wary about this?
Well, I think it's been my experience, not just recently, but throughout my career, that anytime somebody blows the whistle on their institution, on their agency, on their organization, that there are some dire consequences there. And I think that's part of the deal. If you want to be that guy that stands up and says something's wrong and I can prove it, you've got to be able to face those consequences. And in Hussein's case, he may well lose his job, but he's also suing the university, and he's complained to the USDA about what he says is retaliation. And the USDA is now investigating not just the animal abuse claims, but they are also investigating the alleged retaliation against Dr. Hussein.
Okay, now what about the consequences for you, Frank? You are a renowned journalism instructor at the University of Nevada, Reno. I've helped with your class part-time, but do you feel that you will be fired over this?
Well, I think if I worked for the agriculture school, I probably would be in danger of losing a part-time position, but I doubt if just doing my job is grounds for being told or asked not to come back. And if that were the case, I've never been listed in the Columbia Journalism Review before, but that would make a great story for them, I think. So I think it'd probably be more trouble than it's worth for them to, anyone at UNR, to try and take away the best minimum wage job I ever had.
Okay, we'll be back with more with Frank Mullen and then with our pundit panel after these few words. Thank you.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Sunbelt Communication.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Ken Dillon, owner of Van Dyne Roofing, can get it fixed with his eyes closed.
Something spectacular has taken wing not far from Reno or Lake Tahoe, and never far from your mind. An escape of fine dining and legendary golf. Introducing the resort at Red Hawk. And at the center of it all, we've feathered our nest with new villas that have elevated Red Hawk to the status of a premier resort. The Resort at Red Hawk, a beautiful new arrival in northern Nevada.
It's America's largest historical district, and it's fun for the entire family. Virginia City is where the West comes alive every day, from train rides to gunslingers. Your gang can explore mines and interesting museums, visit historic saloons, and do some great shopping. Virginia City is the ultimate in family entertainment, and it's very affordable. Come up and stay overnight in our hotels, motels, and RV park. Virginia City, the Wild West at its best.
So, who do you use for workers' comp?
Pro Group Management.
Ah, I've heard some good things about them.
Oh, you bet. Employee background checks, safety training, claim seminars. Oh, and here's the great part. If you have an issue, they work for you, not against you.
Sounds perfect. And expensive.
Well, that's the best part. They saved me 30%. I've heard they've saved others 50%.
Works for me. Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers.
Thank you. We're back with investigative reporter Frank Mullen of the Reno Gazette-Journal talking about his report on alleged animal abuse and animal death at the UNR farms. Frank, one of the most disturbing things about your story was that, could you talk about these sheep that you uncovered that had partial human livers? It's like out of the island of Dr. Moreau here.
Well, the university does some groundbreaking research that has to do with human stem cells, and what they do there is they inject the stem cells into pregnant sheep. And when the offspring are born, they have partially human livers, and the idea is to let the sheep grow human livers inside them, and that eventually you'll be able to transplant these livers into humans that need them. One of the allegations that the USDA investigators are looking into is that the university did not properly dispose of some of the sheep used in those experiments. In other words, the sheep with human livers that are supposed to be destroyed by incineration, as are all research animals with toxins or altered genes are supposed to be disposed of that way, that they may not have done so. And in my investigation, I found out that the university cannot account for the proper disposal of the 200 stem cell, all of the 200 stem cell it uses each year. I think in 2003, looking at the rendering receipts, I came up with about 135 animals that were sent to rendering, but where the rest of them are, I don't know, and the university refuses to provide any more documents, saying that it's trade secrets. They can't give up their surgery reports. Oh. And I promise I am not going to change my cats into anything with that information. I just want to know where the sheep went.
Okay. Well, you know, what about the consequences for the university? I know that the U.S. Department of Agriculture is investigating this. What can happen with this? And moreover, what does this do to the overall fundraising efforts of the university?
As far as the USDA is concerned, if they are cited, they can be fined very heavily for animal abuse and neglect if those things are indeed proven. And if the stem cell animals or any research animals were improperly disposed of, that could affect their license, their USDA license, and subsequently they would lose a lot of grant money that goes into the university. So it's a very serious thing if they were to get cited for these things. As far as fundraising goes, I don't know, but I have talked to some folks in agriculture who aren't real happy with the college right now, and maybe it will affect funding. I just hope it doesn't affect the students who go there. They work very hard on their degrees, and I'd hate to see any of this come down on them and them not be able to complete degrees or whatever because of actions that they had nothing to do with.
But you see that potential?
I think there is always a potential there. Any kind of negative publicity probably will affect fundraising.
Okay. Yeah. Did you have a difficult time gathering the information when you were talking to university officials? Were they forthcoming, or how would you describe
They were very generous with their time. The dean, David Thawley, I've probably interviewed him over a course of 10 hours here and there, over the last few months or last 2 months. However, like most institutions, the folks at UNR are not in a hurry to tell negative things about their institution. So it took quite a while for me to get other evidence and present it, and their story changed quite a bit. I think if you read the series, you'll see how stories that were given to me by university officials sort of evolved over time.
So flip-flops here?
Well, I don't know if I'd call them that, but the whole series, by the way, is available on rgj.com, including galleries of pictures that, quite frankly, were too gross to run in the newspaper that had to do with the dead animals and alleged animal abuse. And those are available on rgj.com, the pictures as well as the full series.
Okay, let's change subjects for a minute here, Frank. You were also involved in an extensive survey investigation about the leukemia cluster in Fallon. Recently, the 17th child was diagnosed with leukemia in Fallon.
Right.
What is the status of that now?
It seems that our state health department and the CDC aren't going to do much with this. They've done their investigation. It's been inconclusive. They gave their final results last February. But there are a number of independent investigations going on, including by an organization called Families in Search of Truth, which is started by the families of the patients. And they've gotten some money from Senator Reid, some grants, and they're going forward with private investigations, both from FIST, that organization, and from a scientist in Arizona who's also doing air sampling and cell studies and studies with rats and things like that. Basically now what they're looking at is the possible involvement of heavy metals in making these kids more susceptible to acute lymphocytic leukemia.
Okay, changing the subject again. One of the things that you're very well known for is you're one of Reno's leading Chautauqua performers, which, as you know, and the viewers may not, that you mimic the lives of historical figures. You've done Henry VIII, Huey Long, Babe Ruth, Albert Einstein. I can't think of the others that you've done. But do you ever slip into character, Frank, when you're, what would Henry VIII be like as a reporter? Could you give us a little?
Well, I don't slip into character when I do reporting, although sometimes I'm tempted. For example, when I do an investigative story, any investigative story, a lot of times people aren't forthcoming in their excuses or their explanations for what went on, and they may give me some stories that are hard to believe or downright bizarre.
Right.
And so at times like that, I'd like to slip into the Henry role and say something like, well, my lord, thank you very much for that answer, but I have only one more question for you. Do you think me a simpleton? And of course I can't do that. So I basically say, I'm sorry, I don't understand your answer. Could you please elaborate and help me to understand? So I keep Henry and the rest of them in a little box.
Okay.
And don't let him out.
We got to stop it with that. That's all we have today with Frank Mullen. Coming up on the pundit panel, we have Dick Gammick, Chris Wicker, and Anjeanette Damon from the Reno Gazette.
This is Nevada Newsmakers. When you need a new employee, how can you be sure who you're really hiring? A background investigation by Employer Links will uncover criminal records, verify the applicant's education, check their credit history and Social Security verification. An investigation will research professional licenses and driver's licenses and let you know why they're unemployed. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment.
If you think Wells Fargo is only checking accounts, you're not seeing the whole picture. Online brokerage, mutual funds, mortgages, and home equity accounts. So get more than free checking and start reaching your goals today. Now you get the picture. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers.
And welcome back with our pundit panel. We have Dick Gammick, Anjeanette Damon, and Chris Wicker with the Washoe County Democrats. Let me start with you, Dick. You know, we're going to be needing a new Attorney General. We've been talking about this, is that you're the Washoe County DA. Would that be possibly being the Attorney General would be in your future?
No, I've been asked about it, Ray. In fact, as recently as yesterday, if I had any interest in pursuing that, and I seriously do not. I like what I'm doing. I've enjoyed it, been in there 10 years now. I intend to run again, and as long as the folks in Washoe County, good people here, will have me doing that job, I'll probably stay with it for a long time yet to come. I'm just not really that interested in taking on a statewide job.
Was the representative of Governor Gwynn was the one that asked you about that yesterday?
One of his staff did yesterday, yes.
Oh, okay. And Jeanette, what do you think? Who do you think could be the new Attorney General here? You know, the Mark Amity, the senator from Carson City, is mentioned. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that Governor Gwynn wants to appoint a Republican that would be strong in the 2006 election. I've heard Senator Amity's name mentioned. He was chair of the committee that tried Kathy Augustine, so he got a high-profile role there. He would need strong statewide recognition to do well in the 2006 race. Other names I've heard bandied about include former Assemblyman Greg Brower and the Clark County District Attorney. So it'll be interesting to see who Governor Gwynn picks.
Okay, so Dick Gammick's hat is not in the ring.
No.
Now, Chris, yesterday we had Nevada's leading Democrat on, Harry Reid, and he was livid with the president about the aid to the tsunami victims in Asia. what is your take on this? Is the nation, are we being stingy with our aid here?
Well, I think that I would say two things. One, I was just perplexed and amazed that during this disaster of epic proportions that President Bush let it go 3 days before he gave any announcement of condolence. And I know that his team is saying, well, he was working behind the scenes and it wouldn't make any difference to go to the cameras, but I think it does. He's the President of the United States.
Why are we
and he
taking-
should have gone the very first day and given the condolences as the President. Secondly,
But he was on vacation.
This
I know,
isn't
that's the
party
part of it.
lines here.
No, he's the President of the United States. He should have come forward
This
and given
isn't party
condolences
lines. If they'd given
immediately.
more money, it'd been too
Secondly,
much.
$15 million, $35 million for this kind of epic disaster is ridiculous. And it will be more. It will be more because the United States cannot stand back. But
Dick,
The President immediately committed aircraft out of Japan to go in and help on the search efforts. The President immediately committed other resources from this country to go. He committed millions of dollars to this effort immediately. And like I said, if he'd committed more, it'd been too much. Why are we doing party lines on something like this?
We're not.
It's just absolutely crazy. It's the Democrats that are blasting him.
he is the President of the United States, and after 9/11, leaders around the world immediately express their condolences, and that is symbolic. It doesn't save a single life, but it's very important. It's very important for how the United States is viewed around the world.
I do think it's interesting with all the suffering and misery over there that this has been turned into a political football. I don't think that's quite appropriate. Although it's important to bring the attention, $35 million isn't going to cut it from the United States. And so if that's what it takes to bring attention to get more money, then that's too bad.
Well, $35 million, that wouldn't even finance full-day kindergarten in Nevada for a year.
That was an immediate response.
That's one person's tax cut under Bush's tax cuts for the wealthy.
Well, Dick, how much should we? How much is enough?
Whatever it takes, Ray, and it's going to be right now. The death toll has gone up over 100,000. This thing has not been figured out yet. I'm sure the President is committed to do whatever we need to do to help in this relief aid, but it's also a worldwide situation, not just the United States of America again. And to make this political and start blasting the President for what he's doing is just crazy.
Well,
Everybody needs to get in there together and let's get this all set up and get the relief that needs to be there.
Okay,
well, somebody needs to speak up and say the President of the United States needs to step forward and tell the world what we think about this.
And we have to end it right there.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Something spectacular has taken wing not far from Reno or Lake Tahoe and never far from your mind. An escape of fine dining and legendary golf. Introducing the resort at Red Hawk. And at the center of it all, we've feathered our nest with new villas that have elevated Red Hawk to the status of a premier resort. The Resort at Red Hawk, a beautiful new arrival in northern Nevada.
It's America's largest historical district, and it's fun for the entire family. Virginia City is where the West comes alive every day, from train rides to gunslingers. Your gang can explore mines and interesting museums, visit historic saloons, and do some great shopping. Virginia City is the ultimate in family entertainment, and it's very affordable. Come up and stay overnight in our hotels, motels, and RV park. Virginia City, the Wild West at its best.
Thanks for watching today. Next week on Monday, we have Assemblywoman Sheila Leslie and political scientist Fred Locken. On Thursday, we have Congressman Jim Gibbons. Thank you.